Hi everyone, Materim here again with another 1000 point battle report as a test for the preparation for the new campaign that will be starting as soon as we can get everyone together to end the last one. So, hasn't had a whole lot of luck with that, but hopefully you guys will enjoy this. Pretty simple setup here. The only thing of note is that river that runs through most of the board ends up being a river of light. So Michael's Bane, we'll see how well it works for or against him in this one. So here we have the Dwarves, and you can see starting on the left we have an engineer who is serving as his general, then a dwarf organ gun. Next to that is a unit of, I believe it's 18 iron breakers with his BSB Thane in there, and then a unit of, I think it's 18 great weapon dwarf warriors. And then way over here on this side, and this is after Vanguard, is a gyrocopter with Vanguard. And instead of moving forward, because I won the Vanguard roll, he's moved laterally to bring him in closer to the rest of his units. And then for the Lizardmen, in the water, we have my 10-man skink skirmishers with blowguns. They were hit with the Weapon Skill 10, Initiative 10 ability, big deal. Then we've got my 16-man Saurus Warrior block with my Scarvet and my Skink Priest and Skink Chief in there as well. Then over here I have my second unit of Skink Skirmishers with blowguns, my Bastiladon, my Salamander with the extra crewman upgrade, and my 3 Rippers who have vanguarded up in front of my lines to where you see them now. They have toad-marked the Iron Breakers. So, I go ahead and take the first turn, and because they're aquatic with the skinks, I don't have to worry about the dangerous terrain for the water, and I can march through it, so I march the my right-hand side skink skirmisher unit through the water. Turns out that it banishes me and kills 8 of the 10 skink skirmishers top of turn 1. Super. Plus side is they don't panic, so I still have 2 little dudes running around that can cause some problems. Then I move the Salamander up into the water, and he gets Net of Ammontok on him. So, definitely looks like the river is going to spread some pain to me, which I guess is fair, since I was the one that set it up here in hopes to make use of the aquatic troops I have. I guess it kind of makes sense that it's going to bend me over a little first. Then with very little other movement, I go to magic, and I hit the gyrocopter with Iranan's Thunderbolt and do a couple of wounds to it. And I guess I forgot to show the movement over here, but I move up my skirmishers to try and get his general. I figure I'll shoot at the general, hoping to get it, and even if he tosses the hits over onto the war machine that's there, I'll still be in good shape. But as it is, I'm very afraid of that war machine. It's in heavy cover because of his engineer, and it's just got the ability to just delete my units, and I'm not sure how to deal with it. So we go to okay, I only inflicted 1 wound on the gyrocopter because at top of his turn, he flies over my 2 remaining skink skirmishers, misfires, and takes his second wound, and that's where he ends up. And then as far as movement here, there's a little bit of shuffling around. The dwarves are coming up a little bit. That square piece of terrain in front of them with the circle in it, the circle is a magic circle, so anyone within 6 inches of that gets MR2. So he's hoping to kind of stay under the cover of that so I can't thunderbolt his units, which is probably a good call. But I'm still just not sure how I'm going to deal with both units. Dwarves are very hard to kill, and I'm not sure. So he goes into shooting with the organ gun at this unit of skirmishers, ends up rolling, I think it was a 4 and then a misfire, and then he rerolls the misfire to another misfire. So he's throwing like 4 dice at a -1 to hit, and only manages to kill 1 of the skink skirmishers, which I find myself super fortunate for. So we go into my turn 2, and I use the fact that the gyrocopter was there to declare charges with my spearmen, hoping to get them over the river so they're not stuck. and the Rippers. So you actually see after the fleas, his gyrocopter ends up right in front of my skink skirmishers there. But the spearmen got hit with native Ammontok, so it just sucks. And then I move those 2 skink skirmishers to the side of his units. Maybe I'll get some pot shots. And here's just a better look at that other side. I have moved up the skirmishers so that his unit of Ironbreakers can't see them. I know it's hard to tell that in this shot, but we got the viewer out, and he can't see them, so he's going to have to come forward to deal with the Saurus warriors, which I'm fine with. And right now he needs like a 9 on both of those units to hit me, so I'm not expecting him to charge this turn. So in Magic, I end up getting, I think it was the laser beam from the Bastiladon off on the gyrocopter, and I blow it to Kingdom Come. But I don't think I get anything else off Magic-wise. And then over here, these 2 freaking skinks decide they're just going to do the work of their entire unit and end up killing 2 of the Great Weapon Warriors with blowguns while hanging out here in this water. And then unfortunately, it looks like he didn't leave the dude dead, but then the Salamander breathes, hits this unit just barely, and kills 1 more. So 3 of the Great Weapon Warriors have died this turn. So Dwarf turn 2, and he actually surprises me. He tries to throw both the Ironbreakers and the Great Weapon troops into the Saurus. I choose to stand, figuring he needs 9 on the dice. It's not likely to get it. He does fail with the Ironbreakers and ends up where he is, but he succeeds with the Great Weapon Warriors, and that's really bad news for me. He has hatred for the entire army, so he's going to come in here and just absolutely brutalize this little unit of Saurus here, and there's not much I can do about it. Over here, he runs his general around behind the organ gun because I'm still trying to kill the general, hoping for the points, but we'll see where it goes from there. And where it goes from there is the organ gun opening up on the skirmisher unit and killing all but 3 of them. But again, because of Cold-Blooded, which may be my favorite special rule in the entire freaking game from now on, I don't panic. So they're hanging out there, still going to be trying to cause some trouble. So we go into combat here, and between my Scarvet and my Saurus doing pretty well on the primal strikes, so I'm getting several extra attacks here. I do some good damage to the unit, but he just absolutely brutalizes me. Basically peels off a whole rank of guys. I lose it by 3 or 4, but because of Cold-Blooded, I end up sticking, which is fantastic. So we go into my turn 3, and I start moving the Ripperdactyls around this way. I really want to get them into the flank of the Iron Breakers, because that's the unit that they have frogged, and they can do some horrible, horrible things. And then I move up the Bastiladon and the Salamander to where you see them here. And then over on this side, I bring the 2 lone blowgunners and the 3 that were being shot at around to the side, so they'll be able to shoot at the general. They're doing their best to kill that guy, but even when they're hitting him on poison, he's got, I think it's a 3-up armor save, because he's got heavy armor, shield, and a rune of stone, something like that. So he's, even when I am hitting him and poisoning him, he's just armor saving it like a boss, so not really anything that I can do there. And, okay, yeah, this is just a better shot of where everybody ends up after that movement phase. I do finally get the Bastiladon out of the water. And I move him so now, if that unit is still there, I do have line of sight and I can kind of come around. As long as I don't kill too many of the Great Weapon Warriors, I can clip the back unit with the Bastiladon and could get in there and get some flank action and do some good stuff. Then I try and shoot the Salamander at the Ironbreaker unit, misfire, and the Salamander turns around and eats 2 of his skink handlers. During Magic, I did get Ice Shard Blizzard off on the Dwarf unit, which helped slightly. But even with that, I do some more wounds. I think he's got 7 or 8 guys left. But he kills everything but the characters in this unit. So I do hold with cold-blooded because I'm awesome like that. And then he reforms just to squeeze in more attacks, which gives some movement for his Iron Breakers to get by. So on his turn 3, that's exactly what he does. Now that he's not wide anymore, he's got just enough room to bring those Iron Breakers in. And because my Bastiladon and the Salamander are exactly lined up, he ends up having to declare a charge on both of them, and ends up getting in, as you can see here. Now this I'm super worried about. The Bastiladon can hold, but the Salamander is probably going to die because it doesn't have the 2-up armor save that the Bastiladon does. And it really doesn't take much static combat res to make that Bastiladon run, because for some reason they're not stubborn, even though all of their fluff in the game talks about how stubborn they are. Then over here, the Dwarf General decides that he is tired of being shot at and decides to charge these 3 skinks right here, which is probably a good idea. I mean, skinks die like crazy. I actually tried to stand and shoot, hoping that I could sneak a wound in, and failed to do so, so those skinks are probably going to die. Then during his shooting, he turns the organ gun around and absolutely wastes those 2 skinks on the side to prevent them from charging in and me holding him up. So I don't know if that was necessarily his best call, but it's getting him some points. So we go into combat, and my Saurus Scarvet just shows everyone why he is such a freaking boss. He just brutalizes. I think I got 6 attacks through off of 4 attacks because of the Primal Fury. Or Predatory Hunter is what they've got. And I end up doing enough. My wizard takes 1 wound, but I end up breaking the unit and running him down, like you see here. Then over here, I don't know whether mathematically he did bad or not, but he does get 1 wounded on the Bastiladon. Doesn't get any on the Salamander, and I get a couple through. So he wins by static combat res. I'm thinking like I'm on 6s rerollable with Cold Blood, but I mean, I'm just rolling those like a boss, and those guys aren't going anywhere. And then over here, he kills 2 of the Salamanders. I don't do anything, or 2 of the skinks rather. I don't think I do anything back. I lose pretty bad, but because of the overrun after breaking down his great weapon dwarves, I'm within 12 inches with my general, and that's enough with the cold-blooded to make him stay. And I'm sorry I didn't take some movement pictures, but this is after combat on my next turn. I brought the Rippers into the side. They got a ridiculous number of wounds of attacks this turn. I think they maxed out the Fury attacks and just ate him alive. I mean, he's got 1 rank of Iron Breakers here and his BSB in the corner. I sent my wizard off to go deal with the organ gun, and so my other 2 characters have lined themselves up for a flank charge next turn. As you can see, he's hanging out over here. And then the fight between the 1 skink and the Dwarf General Engineer continues with both of them fluffing, so we tied. So we go into Dwarf turn. He's got no movement, so he turns the organ gun on my wizard and makes him a fine mesh paste on the ground. And then, during combat, the Battle of the Ages continues as the Dwarf General is still unable to kill the single remaining skink, and I can't do anything to him either, so we're just sitting there not doing anything to each other, which is really stupid. Then over here, basically I've killed some more. He did 1 wound to one of the handlers on the Salamander, I think. And I'm just beating him down. I'm hoping here to get my characters in and just last so that he has a minimal number of turns to shoot things with that organ gun and claim it, and that I can eventually kill the unit and the character that's in it by the end of the game. That's kind of my hope at this point. So, then in combat here, finally the Dwarf General murders the last remaining skink after 3 rounds of trying. I think this is the next dwarf turn, because there's so little movement, it's making it somewhat difficult to see where the turns are. But yeah, he finally kills him, as he really should have done 3 turns ago. So this is after combat on my turn. As you can see, I've charged my general and my BSB into his flank. We killed, or no, he challenged. So my general and his BSB are locked in a challenge, and I just fluffed. But the rest of what I had in there was enough to kill the rest of the unit. So all that's sitting there now is his BSB, and he is rolling leadership like a champ and not going anywhere. So we go to the next turn. This is my turn. No, this must be dwarf turn 5. Again, we go in there. I can only get 1 wound off on him. He does nothing on me. Needs, I think, a 4. He needed something stupid low and sticks it on the first roll. So he's not going anywhere, which is kind of working. If I can go ahead and kill him, it'll work. It's keeping me safe. So this is his next turn, and the picture looks very similar. Or no, this is my turn. This is my turn 6. So my turn 6, I fail to kill him again. He's hoping to basically die so he can shoot apart one of the units with the organ gun next turn, but he doesn't. So everything is still holding there. So we go bottom of turn 6. He's got nothing to shoot at, so the organ gun doesn't go off. And then finally, as if it knew my plan, my Scarvet decides to stop playing around with this dwarf and just crushes his skull. I think does 3 or 4 wounds to him. And so that's pretty much that. And so that is the end of the game, and the only thing that the dwarves have left is an organ gun and his general. So we do up the points. I end up winning by almost 500 points, I believe it was. So pretty significant victory for the Lizardmen. But it was a great game. I mean, it was very tight. The fights really could have gone either way. And if he had succeeded both of those charges when he came into me, that probably would have been it. But I feel very happy that I was able to kind of maximize what I could do and essentially make up for what I think are some serious deficiencies in my list compared to his. I was very glad that the way things worked out, the organ gun didn't just absolutely annihilate me, which he very easily could. But I don't know that that's something that's going to stick around in the campaign, because I think with the practice games we've done, I've made the guys very, very afraid of the skink skirmishers. So I think they've been giving them sort of unnecessary target priority, and I definitely think that organ gun could have done more damage to other targets. I think if he had blasted the Ripperdactyls instead, for instance, I would have had a hard time winning against the Iron Breakers, because my Saurus weren't doing anything to them. Or, I mean, not sorry, the Salamander and the Bastillodon just weren't doing anything to them. And I really needed those Rippers that they came in with that killing blow and was just ridiculous. They were fielding, what is it? It's 2 attacks normally and 4 others. So, like, yeah, the unit, each of the normal ones had 6 attacks and the champion had 7 or something ridiculous like that. It was pretty crazy. But it might not have been, yeah, it might have been 6, so my 18 attacks. Yeah, it was just nuts. But either way, it was pretty nasty, but a good game. I definitely think I'm getting a hold on the Lizardmen and kind of how I need to play them, so I'm definitely enjoying these practice games more and more. I just wish I was as comfortable with my undead lists that I'm going to be bringing in, but we'll see how it goes. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Again, apologies for not being able to get the final game of the last campaign together. It seems like every time we try and get a setup, one of us gets called into work or whatnot, so we've just been having a hard time getting all 3 of us in the same room to get it done, but we are trying to get that done as soon as possible, and hopefully we'll have that wrap up for you guys before too much longer. So thanks again for watching, and as always, if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Otherwise, we will catch you next time. Thanks.